Hey guys, this is Ali. This video is for everybody in the front-end development team of the Sig Web Dev in NJIT. As I promised you guys, make a video on how to get Angular started in your application here. I'm sorry that I wasn't so prepared last meeting, and I realized what the problem was. Hopefully we'll be able to cover everything today so you understand it and get Angular at least set up with your computer, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I have open everything here, the navigation bar, everything, the LLO page is open. From here, what I've told you guys to do was create a template folder here, templates, and then create a file here, for example header.html, and create a new file, another file. We're going to name this one home.html instead of body, and we're going to go footer.html. So we have those three things, and then from our index, as I told you, we carry on the header and we put it over here and we save that, and then we take the jumbotron and those disappeared. We take the jumbotron and the row marketing. Okay, we take that and then put it in our home section, and in the index we take the footer and put it in our footer section. Okay, so we have nothing. So in here we're going to write ng-app, as I showed you before in the meeting, equals app. We're just going to call our application name app, and in our div container class container here, we're going to initialize the UI router, such as UI view, closing the div. Now we did div ng include equals templates slash header.html. Close the div, and the reason that this wasn't working is we have designated an area for our Angular app to work, and it's this whole HTML page, but we haven't really initialized our page. If you go to the inspect here, right after the meeting I tried to get it working, and I realized that we failed to instantiate the module app. So what you need to do is go to the scripts. In the main, there's some console log, you can erase that. We're going to type angular.module, and let's clear up our code a little bit. We're going to name our application app, and then we're going to have a list of dependencies that this module is going to run in. And this module is going to be called app, and if we were using the Angular's regular router, the one that's built in, we would be having just an empty array here. But why we're using the UI router one, so we need to specify UI router. And as soon as I save this, boom, we get the navigation bar, navigation tabs, and the Sig Web header. So that's what it was. We didn't initialize a module here. Now we did Angular.module is a function that initializes the module, and it takes two components. The function takes two arguments, the name of the application and then the list of dependencies. So in here we have our header, and then in here we can do div, okay, ng include, trying to type too fast, that's what happens, templates, footer.html, and then close the div, and now we got the footer, and we're not going to put the body in, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So we have our application, at least the home page, working. So I'm going to put this home HTML in the middle here, but I'm going to put it in the main.html, main.js file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is type .config, and in the config we're going to, let me just type it out, and then I can URL router provider, single quotations, and then state provider, and function, and we're going to just copy this here, comma, state provider, and then open it up, and then in here we have to. So this .config part is the module's configuration. This is part of the UI router. The URL router provider, we're going to only use it to URL router provider .otherwise, and we're just going to specify just the slash. So we have our home page, and we're going to specify that the about section goes into the about page. The contact section, if you press this, it goes into the contact page. But if the user tries to write anything else, like it will just throw it back to the regular. So it means that otherwise, like if any other route is provided to the URL than the ones that we have specified, just throw it back to the slash or the home, wherever. You can specify this any way you want. So that's all we're going to do with the URL provider. With the state provider, we're going to do state provider.state, and in the state we're going to have home state, and the home state's URL is going to be just slash. And from here, for example, we can do template and just specify like hello man, and it will come up hello man. So we just specified a single string here, so we can have our whole HTML page that we want, the middle part. We don't have to have, so the way that we have it here now is that the home, about, contact is all going to have the same navigation, but we can change that, it's no problem. But so this template is going to be this hello man or whatever, this single string here. But if you have a lot of HTML code, you want to have it in here in your separate HTML thing. Let me just close these real quick. It has like so many things that are open. Okay, awesome. So main.js. So instead of doing this, what is usually done is we specify template URL, and that template is going to be in templates.home.html. And it will take, and then boom, right here in our home HTML we have the Jumbotron and the row marketing. So here we have the same thing here. So that's perfect. So let's make other pages work. So we have our home state. Let's also do the .state for about, and that's the URL for this is going to be /about. And for now, let's do well, you know what? Let's do template URL templates/about.html. It's going to throw an error right now because it's going to be like, oh well, there's no templates. Oops, this is a comma. Okay, so we need to create about.html, and in our about, let's just do, you know what? What we'll do is take the row marketing part and we'll put it in the about section instead. So everybody gets something. Okay, so we should have these disappear right now. So why is that not happening? Templates.home.html. We have our home, but we only have the Jumbotron there, so it should not get, okay, alright, that disappeared. Just my live reload is acting up once in a while. So if you press the, well, the pressing won't work because this will just go to /. So here in our header, we have the navigation pills, but all of these go into pound, which is just a front page. So to make that change, we can do /about and stuff. But the UI uses their own href. It's called UI-sref. And UI-sref takes a state. So it means that, when you press this, change into the about state that we have. So let's do the same thing for contact. I don't know if we'll cover contact if you have time. We'll get rid of this because I'm going to show you in a little bit. So we'll put that, and then this will be the home state. So I think everything is good. Oops. Okay. Good. So if you press the about section, boom. Now it's like you see the whatever is provided in here, row marketing, and if you go back home, you just got the jumbotron. So let's make see the blue part went away because in the navigation, if the thing is active, then it'll show up as blue. So where was it in our header? So UI-sref has this thing called UI-sref active equals active. So that means that whenever this state is active, then we're going to have an active pill or active button in this case, whatever it may be. So if we do this and then we save and then we refresh, we have the home button, and when we go to the about, boom, now we have the about changing the way it is. So you now have a web page that has multiple pages. They work pretty well, and they're like, as you can see, they're like super fast because you're not pressing the home button, having it reload. If you go into here, the whole point of it is here is um, let's disable caching because that's what Google does. So we'll save it. So you see, it's getting the main.css. The local host is the HTML page, and it's making a 200 OK. That means it's going to the server, pulling up these, and then it's pulling up this first of all, and then while it's rendering the HTML, it finds, well, this HTML says we need this and this and this and this. So it pulls all of these and gets 200 OK. Well, when you go into a new page, what usually happens is you'll go into a new page and it will pull up a whole new one. But in this case, that's not happening, as you can see. As you can see, there's not a whole new request happening. It's always just what is happening here is it's probably pulling up some data, some back data, that's it. But everything else, unless it's changed, nothing changes. Nothing gets pulled from the server again. So that's where you're saving a lot of time. And this code is not minified. So right now, like even this, we can make it like, I know it seems blazing fast, but if you minify, concatenate all this code after distributing, then this will be like literally like the speed of light. Like it will be instant. Even though it seems like instant now, but anyway, so that's the whole point. Let's not no disable catch. Yeah, let's take that off. So we still have some catching. So now let's make a controller and let's get that working. So we have home and about. So we can specify a controller for the function for home, and we can name a function, and we'll do scope. And what this is dependency injection. Angular has this thing called Injector, and what it does is it looks through the dependencies of your functions, and then it injects it into all of the other components of your Angular application so they can all work together. That's pretty much the most simplified version of saying what it does. So this is where you're injecting your dependency, and then in our controller function we can say scope dot title equals home. Oh, we'll just do home page. And you know what? We'll do the same thing for for the about page, well, we'll do about page. So now in our code, if we URL, template URL, okay, we need to do this, Okay, is everything working? Okay, good. All right. So we got that. Okay, so in our home, let's say that after this Jumbotron, we use this thing called Mustache. Just check out Google Mustache. Angular uses it for its templating option. So it's very easy. It's a very robust templating thing. So we put title and then and then it says home page. Maybe what the guy did in the video was he put in H1 so it's faster. So boom, we got home page because it's declared twice. So it's picking up this scope.title equals home page, and this will be the title of the scope.title only in our home.html. And in here, if we do in our about section, if we do title here, well, let's do it on the bottom, I guess. H1 title, and we save everything. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so home page, about page, home page, about page. Okay, so we have a controller. It's working. It's injecting the dependencies perfectly. I forgot to annotate here, so let's do that, and then I'll tell you what annotating is. Scope function, boom, and then maybe close it up. Doesn't break my code. Everything's good. Okay. So what we're doing here is dependency annotation. And what it does is when we're distributing this code, when we have finally finished or partially finished with our application, and we're minifying and concatenating everything, this dollar scope is going to change into A. That's just a part of the minification process, and just to make the code shorter. So it can render less. But the Angular injector is not going to know that this A refers to this and then gets connected to this and gets connected to this. A is not going to know magically that it's scope. So we declare this annotation here so that the injector, well, I changed this here, but I know that scope is still the dependency, so it can work perfectly. So that's why we do the annotation, and we usually do that every time we kind of do dependency injection. So I guess we'll do that also here. And boom. Oops. Close one. And everything should be working just as good. Okay, awesome. So let's take this controller and take it out because like I said, we have a lot of options. Angular there's so many ways to do a single thing. Like there's just so many ways to it's a framework that connects the big parts, but how the small parts connect is totally up to you. There's so much room for changing things around and making it on your own. It's really, really robust in a way that it does that. So let's take this controller out and we'll just take this part. And instead of declaring the whole controller here, we'll do home, well, let's do small, home controller. And in our app, we'll declare a folder controllers. And in the controllers, we'll make a home controller.js. Okay. Alright, no, hold on. First, we do angular.module, so we specify our module first. That this controller is part of the Angular, part of the app module. So even with Angular, like even part of your JavaScript code can be in different parts. So we have specified ng app. So we have specified that the app module will run here, but you can have this huge application where you're using all of these different Angular's modules all over the place, and they all have their own controllers and they all have their own templates. Like it can get huge. It can scale a lot, and Angular is very, very good in handling how that scale of your application gets carried out. So that's that. So we have Angular.module. Let's clear it up again. Dot controller, and in here we do the home controller, and we did, one second. Okay. Alright, so from here we just paste this as far as, okay, I think, and then boom. Alright, controller, home controller, scope, function, scope.title, and okay, I think everything is alright. So we save this, and in our home controller we named it. I mean, everything should be still the same. Okay, it doesn't. Home controller, home controller dot module dot controller home. Oh, okay. We haven't included it in our index.html here, so we have to copy here and do controllers home controller. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Controller. Okay, delete. Okay, .js. Boom, home page, about page. Okay, so let's do the same thing for about. Actually, let me just copy and make the about controller here so I don't have to keep coming back to this. About controller. And in here we'll make a new file, about controller.js. And we'll just go to home, copy, about, boom. Okay, so in about controller we'll name this about controller, and we'll name it about page. Okay, in our main.js now, instead of naming this controller here, we just do about controller. So everything is kind of getting dividing up into pieces, as you can see. And this will help when, like I said, when the page or the application gets scaled. And it can actually get divided into more. I'll show you in a little bit. So we have specified controllers. The guy shows you in the email, in the video, shows you how to do lists. So let's do that, for example. So in our home controller, we can also do dollar scope dot items equals some blank array, or we'll put some items in it, like item 1, item 2, item 3, and we'll save that. And in here, in our home.html, we can use the Angular's ng repeat. Let's just do that. Ng repeat directive. And the ng repeat is like almost like a for each function for Angular. So we'll just do item in items. And for each item in items, we'll just print out item. So save this, live reload, help me out. Okay, awesome. So you can see that item 1, item 2, and item 3 showed up here. So it's automatically injecting it. It's doing ng repeat. It's repeating this li element as many times as there is item in items. And it's displaying this thing out here. And this is just a for each loop. So it's you can do like anything in items, and then here will be anything, and then it will work just like the same. So there's that thing. Let's do a quick like data binding stuff. He already explains it very good. But pretty much what you can do is there's this title here, and we think that this scope.title is declared here, but we can change that just by doing some small mapping stuff. So in here we have the scope.title about page. Let's see. So let's think about how we're going to do this. Okay, let's scope that title about page. So in here, home. Okay, so you know what? Let's do an input. We're going to put a type text. Don't need name and value. In here, we just do ng.model equals title. Okay, so you can see that this home page is inside here because it's mapping this scope title into this input element. So in here we can automatically change the home page. Say this is not home page, even though it is. So this you can change your web page as like just by mapping, and really quickly you can do whatever you want. So you can do this for the items in the list here. Uh, and I won't get into too much of that. You can watch his YouTube video, that'll be fine too. And if you save, it'll go back to it, but you can save this into some JSON file, so then you can update the JSON file as you're making this, so that next time it'll pull it up from that JSON file and it will be just like the way you input it. So that means you can, with lists, Angular is amazing with making lists, editing lists, deleting lists, anything that the listing stuff is really awesome. So if you want to make like a, a friends list in your application, it's so easy to do and make like additions and subtractions. Um, from here, we're not gonna do much. Instead of talking about services like he does, I'll talk a little bit about nesting states and views. So let's just get rid of this. So everything is back to the way it was. So let's make a list of home. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so in here we're going to create a substate. So we're going to do state small. Okay, so in here we're going to do home.list. So it's state, but it's a substate of home, and its URL is going to be /list, and its template URL will be something like, let's say, home.list.html, which is not there yet, but we'll create it. So let's do that. You know what, let's take the home, let's take this repeat in items, and we'll put here, you know what, let's put it in, let's create the file first. Okay, so we do home.list.html, and we'll do this. And in our home, what we'll do is we'll do some div, and we're going to do ng, how was it? 1 second, let's do it like this, UI router, Angular UI router. So when you're in doubt, just look here, right? You can figure it out here. UI view. Well, we know that we need to do UI-view, but how did we include the, did we do just ng include and then dot list? Oh, you know what? we'll probably just make a list button that's gonna pay. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's do a. So let's do instead that. Let's create a link, and instead of href, we're going to use UI-sref. And in here, we're writing .list. We're not writing home.list because we're already on our home.html. And like I said, even though it seems like a separate state, since we did home.list, this is a substate of home. So .list a, and then we'll do like show me the list. So in here, if we save this, we save this. Did we save everything? Boom. Okay, show me the list. So in our home list, so let's try if any problems. Okay, if you run into any problems, we'll UI-ref equals .list. Maybe it has to be single quotes. Highly doubt it, but show me the list. So where is our home list.html? In about template.url /list home.list.html. When in doubt, server responded with a stat of 404 not found. Home.list.html. Did we write something? Did we write the name wrong? Rename home.list.html. So why aren't you finding? Oh, maybe it's because we have to specify that it's templates / home.list.html. Okay, awesome. So that's what it was. Obviously it's here too. Okay. Geez. Okay, so we press the show me the list button and boom, it shows the list of items. So let's say you have this home state, this big state. Like if you're scaling your web app, you're going to have some type of a home state where it's like your front page. And then you're going to have parts of that home page in different states. And what we can do is what it does is this substate inherits everything, all the controller functions of the top parent state. So we did not have to specify controller, even though it wouldn't break any code if we did home controller. It wouldn't break anything. It would still be the same. We don't need to specify this because we're saying, well, this is the sublist and it will inherit all the controllers. Now, if you want to have a separate controller, then you can do controller like that, and have a separate controller just for the list here. But if it doesn't have a controller, it'll inherit it. In our inheritance, we have the ng repeat item. It inherits the controller, home controller, and in our home controller we have the scope.item. So it links everything up using the Angular injection system, and boom, as soon as you press it, it'll show it. You can make it toggle using jQuery or some JavaScript or whatever, but yeah, it works. So that's what it is. If you wanna do nesting of the states, and it will happen. Like if you're making a big application, you will have different parts of the application. Like Facebook is this huge application that contains smaller applications in it. So that's what's so great about it. So we did nested states. Let's do some nested views now. So in our main.js, okay, so let's see 1 second. Alright, so in our home.list, so in our view, okay, so let's do it for the about section. So in our controller, instead of going to this one template, we're going to have a bunch of templates. So we can have views. You know what? I'm gonna keep that and then I'll erase it once that's done. Okay, views. And in our views, we can have 1 second. Okay, so views, we'll do view A, and view A will have it's just gonna be one line. So template URL. So what we'll do is we'll take a jumbotron. So we'll do a file named jumbotron.html, and we'll take the jumbotron. Where is the jumbotron? Right here. And we'll just copy it, not thing it. Okay, so I'm going to put the jumbotron in here by doing multiple views. So we'll have the about.html and separate, and the jumbotron. So let's say you have different HTMLs for your about page. This is how we're going to put it together. So we have view A, its template URL. We'll just put template/jumbotron.html, and then we have view B template URL templates slash we'll just do the about.html. Okay, so right, it's going to in the 25th line. Okay, so it's obviously saying, well, there's controllers. Okay, so in our views, well, no, views has a, this should be about controller. We'll have somewhere here. View A will have this. So where does views go? Okay, view B. Doesn't have view A has a closing already. It already has a closing part. Why doesn't it recognize that? So maybe we don't need this. Okay. I think we're okay now. Plus the URL saying something in line 23. Template URL. Okay, view A. Boom. Okay, awesome. So we have our view A and view B. Okay, right here. Okay, awesome. And then in our index.html, somewhere here. Oh, where is it? Okay. ng include, we can do div ui-sref equals UI view equals view A. Okay, and then view B. Did we do view A, view B? Okay, yes, we have. Okay. So the about section. Oh, okay, it worked. Okay. So you see that the about section has the jumbotron now because it's getting view A and view B. But only view A and view B is only in the about section, so this will be different than this. So in the index.html, like if you don't have this, then it will just be the Jumbotron. If you have this, then it will put in. So you specified in the index.html, and the reason that we don't have the footer is because we didn't put it under. So we have the footer now too. Um, so so now we have the about page have two different HTMLs, one for Jumbotron and one for the links, and all of that is specified in here that we have two separate views. I'll make this a little bit bigger now so you can see it. So we have view A and view B, or you can name it into different views, like we can have this Jumbotron and then we'll have this links. So all we have to change now is in here we do the Jumbotron. I don't know why like auto-completion doesn't work right now. Jumbotron. Okay, and then links. Save this. And it should have absolutely no difference. So that's some. Also you can do nested views. I was looking into here, so this is the UI router GitHub, and they have a lot of information here about nested views and states. Every time that I'm having any type of doubt, I'm looking into these. As you can see that they kind of show it already how you do it. So this is how you get started with the Angular. Two things before I go, and I'm going to write this also. So I'm going to get out of here. So I'm going to push this, what I have done so far, into the repository. But what I did was I created a new branch. So the master branch will have a fresh copy of the the web application. It will just have a fresh copy, and whatever that we do to make it this website look nicer will be in the modified branch. So if you just git clone your repository, the fresh one, you will have to do you will be in the master branch automatically. So the master branch will not change. What you need to do is so I'm already in modified, but if you are not in modify, you do git check out, and check out just a term git uses for changing branches, and then you write modified, and it says it's already on modified here, your branch is up to date. And now it'll probably give me that I have modified the index and main. I have untracked files, controllers. So I will add all of this and then commit this to the only the modified branch. So the master branch will still have the fresh web application that you can use to get back to LLO, this page. And then the modified part will have all of the things that we have modified and we're working on. So we don't have to, change, if anything goes wrong, that we still have the fresh copy. So with that, if you have any questions, again, email me. I guess people were still having errors in the last week, and I still didn't see any type of issues pushed up into the GitHub. If you really if you have questions, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email. I will send an email to you, all of you, soon, saying that I uploaded a new video, and hopefully next meeting that I'm gonna have a projector, a laptop, and markers so I can go along with you guys and teach you some other things, and we'll learn together. I'm still learning along with everybody. But we'll create some cool things. We'll think about what our front end project can be. It's best when you learn as you have something to do. So we'll we'll see. Maybe we'll create a registration system altogether, where people can register and log in with their own, and we'll have everybody have like a specific dashboard for them and stuff like that, and we'll work up to it. So anyways, if you have any questions, let me know. But